If you've been following NFL at all on Twitter, if you've been on Twitter in the past 24 hours, you probably already saw Jon Gruden trending. You saw that he is to some degree back in the football world. So last week he was at Saints OTAs talking with Derek Carr, providing a bit of mentorship to Carr. Now obviously this is going to create a huge discussion because we all know Gruden was forced to resign from the Raiders. He was given the ultimatum, resign or be fired. He chose to resign after his email scandal, which consisted of racist, misogynistic, and homophobic comments throughout the years leaked publicly. Now obviously this is going to create a wide discussion now from different people. You have some people who feel what he did is irredeemable and he does not deserve a second chance. Some people are going to say people make mistakes. They all deserve a second chance after they serve their punishment. And I'm going to give you my take on it. Now, before I get into whether or not Gruden deserves a second chance to eventually one day work his way back into the coaching world, I'm going to start off with the whole Derek Carr, Jon Gruden thing. Now, my opinion, I don't think it's the smartest idea for Derek Carr to have any association with Gruden. Now, I'm not in Derek Carr's shoes. I didn't work with Gruden. I haven't played in the NFL, so I'm not in his shoes. However, the reason why I personally don't think it's a good idea is because, from a coaching standpoint itself, Jon Gruden, he's shown that he's out of touch with the times. Even if you go back to his time with ESPN, with his poor analysts, where he get terrible predictions, thought guys like Brandon Weeden and Christian Hackenberg and Nathan Peterman were potential Pro Bowlers, including Johnny Manziel. Well, we saw that worked out. I think I said Johnny Manziel twice, but moving on, you get the point. And then with the Raiders, most of his draft picks were botches. He had a few decent picks, Josh Jacobs. Henry Ruggs was panning out on the field, but what happened off the field? Now that's out of Gruden's control, but for the most part, though, most of the picks have not panned out. So that right there, from a coaching standpoint, he hasn't exactly shown he's the best coach that understands how to win championship in the 21st century. Or I should say in the 2020s, excuse me. Yeah, he had a Super Bowl ring back in 2002, but obviously you've seen through ESPN his run with the Raiders. That hasn't passed over to his run in the past decade. So in that right there, and not to mention, if other players of the Saints practice, they see Carr taking advice from Gruden, that could rub some of his teammates the wrong way, looking at going, he's still affiliated with this guy, and that could create a bit of a distrust between the players and Derek Carr. Now, I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not. I don't know how involved Gruden was with it, but that is a possibility, and that could be a room for error right there. Now, as far as whether or not Jon Gruden should get a second chance, or technically a fourth chance someday down the line, I think if you look now, I'll start with this. As far as him getting any opportunity in the football world, in any coaching role, head coach, coordinator, position coach, play caller, whatever the case may be, any at all period, I think if he wants another chance, first he's got to prove that he's a changed man. He's got to prove that he's recognized the error of his way, and he's went about changing his ways of thinking. He's got to make that perfectly clear. He's got to have an honest discussion, either through an interview, through a live stream, or on any social platform, or or have a press conference where he gives an honest discussion, admitting that, hey, look, yes, I did this, and this is what I did that was wrong. Here's where I recognized the error of my way, and here's where I went about changing my way of thinking. If he does that and answers that honestly, and can even throw on top of it, maybe helping others recognize the error in their way of thinking who've made similar mistakes, then maybe he can get another chance in the NFL world. But personally, I feel like he's got to prove that he's worthy of a second chance, because the way I see it, and some of the players in the NFL might feel the same way as well. That, yeah, you've been away from the spotlight the past couple of years, but being quiet doesn't prove that you've actually changed, because for all we know, you could still be the same person deep down inside. Could still think the same way. I mean, unless you actually do something to show, like I said, that you've gone about changing your way of thinking and changing your priorities in life. Now, so right there, I think he's got to prove himself from a personal standpoint. And he's also got to prove himself because if he's going to go back into a football locker room in any capacity as an employee of the organization, he's going to have to prove that to his players too. Because if Jon Gruden, like say, comes back next year and gets a coaching role in some capacity, a lot of players aren't going to trust the guy. Because some players are going to think that he's still the same person deep down inside. So that's another reason I feel like he's ultimately got to prove that he's a changed man in order to at least have the trust of some players. For that simple reason right there. So obviously, look, point blank to put it here, Jon Gruden has to prove that he's no longer the person that he was when he sent all those emails out and that he's redeemed himself to get another chance. He's got to prove that just for the sake of being able to have the trust of some of his players. I mean, that's what I really got to say about this. So, to everyone that watched, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If there's something you want to add to it in the comments, if you want to leave your opinion on whether or not you think he deserves another chance down the line, then feel free to do so. Now, my opinion personally, though, I do want to add one last thing. If he does prove that he's worthy of another opportunity and he proves that he's redeemed himself, I don't think he should get a head coaching role because I think he's a bit out of touch with the times to be a head coach. But that's my opinion personally. But yeah, you guys can leave your opinion on whether or not you think he deserves another chance. Like I said, first he's got to prove that he's a changed man to show that he can be trusted. And I don't feel like he should be a head coach. I feel like that might be a little bit too high for him. I don't think he's qualified at this point in time to lead effectively. So that's just my opinion right there. So everyone, thanks for watching. Feel free to comment, drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and enjoy the rest of your day.